There are so many different facets of Dexter Morgan's personality that warrant an analysis of their own, but one of the most interesting aspects of the series is his relationship with women, as every woman Dexter attaches himself to brings out a different side to him. And it makes sense. After witnessing his mother's brutal murder as a child, Dexter is always unconsciously searching for a mother figure to nurture and accept him, someone who will always be there for him no matter what. He was left with an instinctive fear of abandonment, believing that at his core, he's unlovable, as even his adoptive father Harry couldn't accept the monster he helped create. But this doesn't stop Dexter's yearning for love and acceptance, and once he becomes emotionally involved with a woman, he'll do almost anything to defend her, giving them the protection he could never provide for his own mother. So let's take a deeper look at Dexter's unusual relationship with women over 8 seasons of Dexter to understand what drew him to them in the first place, and why they meant so much to him. We'll start with Rita. When we first meet Dexter, he doesn't really understand how to date, but recognizes its importance in keeping up appearances. And Rita is the perfect cover, as after years of being abused by her ex Paul, her expectations are pretty low.
I can't believe I found the one good, truly decent man left on the planet.
She wants to take things slow, which is ideal for someone as emotionally closed as Dexter, as his lack of interest in sex can be misinterpreted as respecting her boundaries. Dexter also loves being around children, and given he was adopted, naturally fits into the role of being a stand-in father figure without the added pressure of having to be there for them 100% of the time. Given her traumatic history, Rita is very vulnerable, which brings out Dexter's protective instinct, which is on full display when Paul resurfaces. She unlocks the lighter side of Dexter, and doesn't just give him the appearance of a normal life, but a real taste of it. She validates that he is human, that he's capable of being a normal boyfriend, husband, and father if he chooses to be, something Harry always warned him he could never become. But as much as Dexter wants to protect Rita, he also takes advantage of her. Whether he realizes it or not, Rita has a history of being a pushover who gives bad men endless second chances, as she always hopes that if she just nurtures them enough, they'll finally treat her the way she deserves. But Dexter allows her to live in a toxic web of lies. He deceives her at every turn, pretending to be working late almost every night or lying about selling his apartment. All cover stories to mask his true identity. As deep down he knows that someone as innocent as Rita could never be with someone like him if she found out the truth. She would sooner believe that Dexter is a drug addict to explain his shady behavior than ever even consider the brutal reality. However, Dexter still loves Rita for the stability she brings to his life. She's his ray of sunshine in a world of darkness, so he marries her and has a son with her because she makes him want to be a better man. She allows him to appreciate all the benefits of being a normal husband while secretly never being one. But Rita's tragic death also means that the clean image he's projected to the world and to himself dies too, and he realizes that he can never bring someone so innocent into his destructive vortex again. Next up is Lila, an influence so powerful that she almost led Dexter away from everything he built with Rita. Lila initially appeals to Dexter because she appears to understand addiction, and he begins to reframe his need to kill with an addict's need to use. Unlike anyone he's ever met before, Lila lays a comforting foundation of self-acceptance, trying to pull Dexter away from his self-judgment. She plants the seed that by telling himself he's this unstoppable monster, he removes any personal responsibility for his actions. Because he's only told her he suffers from addiction, she believes that he simply needs to heal his emotional wounds to get clean. However, he still expects that once she finds out who he really is, that she'll abandon him like everyone else. But when he shows her the Bay Harbor butcher's victims' corpses, she even accepts that, declaring that no one is all good or all evil, and whoever did this is just a person like any of us.
She's looking behind the mask and she's not turning away.
So again, she's humanizing him, except unlike Rita who humanizes his light side, Lila humanizes his darkness. Her ability to see through flaws makes her perfect to open up to, and it appears to work. Dexter confronts one of the men who killed his mother, but doesn't kill him. Instead, he calls Lila and retreats into the comfort of her accepting arms. Maybe she is exactly what he needs, as by not judging him, she allows him to take control of his actions and see himself as just another flawed individual who's working to become better. However, it turns out that Lila's unconditional acceptance and moral ambiguity comes at a cost. She has no sense of boundaries in any aspect of her life. In exchange for loving Dexter wholeheartedly, she needs the same from him. And the more he learns about her, the worse she becomes. It turns out that a consequence of never judging any action gives her permission to do whatever she wants. She'll lie, cheat, steal, even kill, as everything is a means to an end to get Dexter back. To the point that when she discovers his true identity, her first instinct is to get her own hands dirty to showcase her loyalty to him rather than abandon him. Although toxic, this unconditional love helped Dexter to realize that there are people out there that would adore him for his dark side too. But while Lila was a crucial part of helping Dexter to understand himself more, the more he accepts his darkness, the stronger the need to eliminate her, as she's a threat to everything he's built and now meets Harry's code.
You taught me to accept what I am, and to trust in the one thing I know with absolute clarity.
This leads us to Lumen, a victim who he rescued who wants to take revenge on her tormentors. After his mother's death, Dexter had a natural instinct to protect innocent mothers like Rita. And then after Rita was murdered, Dexter went out of his way to protect victims like Lumen. Due to the trauma she endured, she was slow to trust Dexter, as she did see him recreationally killing one of her captors, so he didn't exactly come across as a good guy. But without his help, Lumen would likely have wound up recaptured or killed by recklessly seeking revenge. If we're being honest, from Dexter's side this was very much a rebound, a relationship he rushed into soon after Rita's death to help him cope with the loss. He needed someone to protect to make himself feel better, and Lumen needed someone to help her conquer her abusers. They were trauma bonding, plain and simple. But Dexter found something in Lumen he had never looked for before, a partner in crime. Lila wanted to be his all and everything, but she wasn't trustworthy. Whereas with Lumen, Dexter could see a future where anything was possible, as she got glimpses of both sides of his life and liked what she saw.
In her eyes, I'm not a monster at all.
Although he was hesitant to introduce her to his dark passenger, she embraced it, never judged it, and was actually attracted to it, as it spoke to the same need for justice pumping through her veins. However, similar to how she abandoned Owen at the altar once she could see their trajectory and felt trapped, once Lumen completes her cycle of revenge, she no longer wants the potential future she and Dexter have built together either. This version of herself was a result of trauma, but now she's healed. So while she is grateful for everything Dexter did for her, she can't continue on his path any longer. Because when it comes to violence, he has an unquenchable appetite, whereas she's finished her 5-course meal and couldn't take another bite. But all three of these relationships really just prepared Dexter for the next great love of his life, Hannah McKay. Hannah is a fellow serial killer who ran off with murderer Wayne Randall when she was a teenager. She originally seems like someone who was destined for Dexter's table, as she has immunity from the authorities and seems to use innocent people to level up in life before disposing of them. However, there's more to Hannah than simply being a selfish serial killer. Due to her toxic relationship with her father, she gets attached fast. She wants an all-consuming love to make up for the attention and affection he never gave her. Deep down, she's always wanted a family of her own, but when she finally got pregnant, her ex-husband threatened to leave her unless she terminated it. So in order to protect her dreams of being a mother, she killed him, but still tragically lost the baby. But then when Dexter gets her on his table, she doesn't plead for her life. She accepts that this is what he needs to do to feed his emptiness, telling him to do what you gotta do. Dexter has never seen a reaction like this before. Normally people beg or scream or lash out in their final moment, whereas she understands his need to kill like no one else. So instead of feeding one need, he fulfills another by starting to date her. Hannah is a perfect fit for Dexter in many ways. After all, she ran off with a serial killer before and misses that feeling that life was just beginning and anything is possible. And for Dexter, she's a comforting mix of Rita, Lila, and Lumen, in the sense that she wants a family, she accepts his darkness wholeheartedly, and would serve as a partner in crime. He describes their connection as feeling like home, because home is a place where you can finally be who you truly are. The only problem with Hannah is that she cannot be controlled. She's just as dominant as Dexter is, but without any foolish notions of morality. She views taking life as a simple game of survival of the fittest, which makes her unpredictable and capable of eliminating anyone who gets in her way. So although Dexter loves Hannah, to the point he's willing to betray his code by killing her father to protect her, when she tries to poison Deb for driving a wedge between them, Dexter ultimately chooses his sister and turns Hannah over to the authorities, as Deb has always been loyal to him in the past, even when it came at great personal risk. But their love story would not end there, as Hannah works her way back into Dexter's life in Season 8. He was it for her, and maybe she was always it for him all along. So they begin planning to flee to Argentina together, which will fulfill their need for a fresh start, and Hannah can finally become the mother to Harrison she always wanted to be. So although Dexter always had his skepticism about Hannah, in many ways she's his dream girl, who could protect him as much as he could protect her. And while she may come with her complications, he's hardly in a position to judge. Which leads us to Dexter's mother figure, Evelyn Vogel.
But because I helped create you.
Evelyn is an alleged expert in psychopathy. She was drawn to the field after her eldest son Daniel killed her youngest child and had to be locked up in an institution where he died in a fire. Feeling as if she let her firstborn down, she wanted to find new ways to understand and help people like him. She considers herself Dexter's spiritual mother, as she helped to craft the code that Harry taught him. On the face of it, she's the supportive mother figure he never had, who endorses everything he does, believing that psychopaths are an essential part of nature. She even declares that Dexter is making the world a better place.
You're perfect.
Naturally, Dexter is drawn to someone who validates his existence so much, as she's far more certain of her creation than even he is. He's not sure if she's just manipulatively using him to protect her from her other experiments, or if she genuinely means what she says about him. But over the course of the season, there's no denying that Evelyn believes in her work. She's proud and comfortable in the company of psychopaths, embracing the fact that, hey, they're never boring. However, many of Evelyn's expectations of Dexter turn out to be false. She has a very limited textbook view of what it means to be a psychopath, that they're devoid of empathy, that they have no emotional depth, and that two psychopaths could never be together. This makes us question if Evelyn's prescription for Dexter's diagnosis was ever right to begin with. Maybe he didn't need to be turned into a killing machine. Maybe she's just brainwashed herself with all of these ideas to make her feel better about what happened with her son. So she's accidentally boxing people into what she needs to believe in order to live with herself. But once her son Daniel resurfaces, alive and on a killing spree, Evelyn convinces herself that he too can be tamed with love and acceptance, until Dexter shows her a video of Daniel killing Zach. And now that she's willing to allow Dexter to extinguish her only remaining child, Daniel kills her in front of him, for once again prioritizing her other son instead of him. So again, another mother figure in his life ends up dying before his eyes. And whatever ideas Evelyn had about Dexter, about what he can or can't be, ended there. Which leads us to the final and most important woman in Dexter's life, his sister Deb.
I don't have feelings about anything, but if I could have feelings at all, I'd have them for Deb.
Ever since Dexter was adopted into their family, Deb was neglected by her father Harry, causing her to seek validation from other men later in life. But the men she was drawn to often shared similar qualities to her adopted brother, as Harry accidentally communicated that men like Dexter were more worthy of attention than her ever since she was a child. Dexter likes how straightforward Deb is. She always speaks her mind and isn't shy to correct him about what he needs to do to be a better man. telling him to fight for Rita instead of Lila, berating him for keeping secrets from Rita, and even questioning if he'll be there as a father to his own son. She's such a close and reliable figure in his life that he even asks her to be his best man at his wedding. But given Deborah Morgan is such an upstanding detective, surely she would have to turn her brother in if she ever found out the truth, right? Well, not exactly. You see, although Deb initially sees the world in black and white, over time she starts to understand the moral grey areas in each of us. It starts with her father. The more she digs, the more she discovers he was never quite the hero that he appeared, as he was having extramarital affairs with his informants. Then when she catches Lumen and Dexter at a murder scene, because she's watched the videos of Lumen's abuse, she sympathizes with her motivation so much that she allows them to flee before the police arrive. Then when she rises the ranks, all the way to lieutenant, she's officially achieved more than her father ever has. So she decides to make Dexter the new person she aims to make proud instead of her father. She's been through so much with Dexter that she confuses her feelings for him, finding him to be her safe space to retreat to whenever things go wrong. So when she walks in on him killing Travis, although she's obviously shocked, she's already mentally adjusted to the idea that people aren't what they appear. She's found common ground with vigilantes, and has elevated Dexter in her head to be the most important person in her life. And while she tries to get him to change and see the error of his ways, in the end, she's the one to be slowly converted over to his side, accepting that he's a necessary evil whenever the justice system fails. As given she was raised by the same father Dexter was, it's no surprise they have a somewhat similar need to protect the innocent at all costs. However, Deborah becomes just another casualty of her brother's crimes. After helping him to cover up Travis Marshall's murder, this means that the closer he is to getting caught, the more vulnerable she is. So she betrays her morals and kills her superior to save her brother as well as herself, facing a similar moral dilemma as Dexter did when he had to choose between his murderous brother and his law-abiding sister. Except by killing an innocent, Deb's life begins to spiral, as she's nowhere near as calloused or bloodthirsty as her brother. She can't excuse or rationalize away her sense of right and wrong. This quality is what Dexter has always loved about his sister, that she stands up for what she believes in and puts him in his place to keep him on track. Yet now he's taken that away from her forever. And when his decisions lead to her demise in the final episodes, it finally makes Dexter realize what a destructive force he is. As if he's once again failed to protect the most important woman in his life, then he runs the risk of destroying everything he holds dear, and therefore Hannah and Harrison would be better off without him. So while each of these female characters peeled back another layer to Dexter Morgan, Deb was actually the glue holding everything together. She was the one consistent in his life that gave his existence meaning. And although Dexter always claimed that there was nothing that could quench his need to kill, after being the one to take his sister off of life support, Deb would technically become his final kill of the series, and he was so consumed with guilt that he managed to suppress his violent urges for the following decade. So while the horrific death of his mother may have started him on this path, it was the tragic death of his sister that finally got him off it. So if you're looking for a way to truly understand the psychology of Dexter Morgan, you need look no further than the women in his life. Well, if you've made it this far, firstly, thank you for watching, but if you could now give the video a like, possibly even leave a comment and click on that subscribe button, it will encourage that mysterious algorithm to do its thing.